People often say, I'll start saving when I earn more. But here's the truth. If you can't manage $1, you'll never manage $1 million. The habit is the foundation, not the amount. Every day you delay, you're not just losing money, you're losing time, the most expensive currency of all. The difference between the poor and the wealthy isn't luck, it's discipline over delay. Small investments done consistently will one day buy you freedom, but doing nothing will always keep you a prisoner of someday. I've often said that life responds to seed, not to need. Most people stand in the field of opportunity with empty hands, wishing for a harvest. But wishing alone doesn't make anything grow. You've got to plant something. That's the great secret. The wealthy understand. The oak tree that shades a generation once began as a seed so small you could hold it between your fingers. The secret isn't in the size of the seed, it's in the consistency of planting. Too many people wait for the perfect season, for a big break, for extra money. But the truth is, there's never a perfect season. Only the one you decide to make perfect by taking action. When I was a young man, I used to say, if I had more money, I'd invest. My mentor looked at me and said, son, if you can't manage what little you have, you'll never manage more. That struck me deep. I realized wealth doesn't start with more. It starts with better. Better habits, better decisions, better discipline. The rich didn't wait for luck. They built it one small act at a time. $1 invested, a book read, an hour spent learning. Those are the small seeds that one day grow into mighty trees of freedom. Here's what happens when you begin to plant, even in small ways. You engage the laws of growth. You begin to change not just your finances, but your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone struggling to get by, and you start seeing yourself as a builder, a planter, a creator of wealth. Each seed you plant, whether it's saving $10 a week, learning a new skill, or starting a small side business, builds not just your account, but your confidence. That's how the transformation begins. Think of it this way. Someone who invests $10 every week for 10 years consistently has built a habit 520 times stronger than the one who waits for the right time. Because the right time never comes, it's something you create by planting now. The small seed looks insignificant today, but under the surface, things are moving, compounding, multiplying, preparing for a future harvest. When you adopt that mindset, your focus shifts from immediacy to legacy. You no longer ask, how fast can I get rich? You ask, how deep can I plant so that my wealth grows even when I'm asleep? Because that's what assets do. They grow quietly, faithfully, and powerfully, like roots spreading beneath the soil. The discipline of planting is where the magic begins. It's not the $10. It's the decision to say, I'm a planter, not a waiter. So, start now. Set aside something small this week, money, time, or effort. Plant it, because the small seeds you sow today will become the tree that shades your future tomorrow. It's easy to get excited for a day, inspired for a week, or even committed for a month. But wealth doesn't respond to occasional enthusiasm. It responds to consistent discipline. Most people treat success like a sprint, running hard for a short distance and then collapsing in exhaustion. But those who truly build wealth understand that it's not the sprint that counts, it's the steady pace that endures over years, even decades. It's not about how intensely you start, it's about how faithfully you continue. When I first began learning about personal growth and wealth, I thought big change required big action. I'd spend a whole weekend reading, planning, setting massive goals, and then do nothing for weeks after. My mentor smiled and said, You don't get fit by going to the gym once a year for 10 hours. You get fit by going every day for 30 minutes. That was a revelation. I realized that life rewards consistency far more than intensity. A little every day is far greater than a lot once in a while. Wealth works the same way. A small, regular investment grows more than an occasional large one. Reading for 15 minutes every day teaches you more than binging a course once a year. Saving 10% of your income every month will create more stability than trying to save whatever's left over. The key is rhythm. When you build wealth habits into your daily life, you stop relying on emotion and start relying on principle. Emotion fades, but principle sustains. Now, here's something to think about. Consistency doesn't just build your bank account, it builds your identity. Every time you act consistently, you send a message to yourself that says, I'm someone who follows through. That repetition creates self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. And confidence, my friends, is magnetic. It attracts opportunities, people, and resources. So, if you want to build wealth, don't wait for motivation, build a system. Create a small daily wealth ritual, a quiet personal moment of progress. Spend 15 minutes reviewing your finances, reading a chapter on money, or planning tomorrow's actions. That's not much time, but done daily, it rewires your thinking and redefines your habits. Remember, repetition is the mother of mastery. Consistency is what turns ordinary habits into extraordinary results. The farmer doesn't plant today and harvest tomorrow. He waters daily, waits patiently, and trusts the process. So must you. Don't worry if progress seems slow. Consistency always compounds. Those little daily acts accumulate into something far beyond what you can imagine. Success doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. Keep showing up. Keep learning. Keep improving. If you build consistency into your life, the results will take care of themselves. Wealth isn't an event, it's a rhythm. And when you learn to dance to that rhythm, you'll find that prosperity becomes not just possible, but inevitable. One of the greatest mistakes people make is trying to earn before they learn. They want the fruit before planting the tree. But life doesn't work that way. First, you learn how to plant. Then you plant. And only then do you earn the harvest. Those who chase quick returns without understanding the game often end up losing both time and money. The poor look for shortcuts. The rich look for wisdom. Because when you truly understand money, how it moves, how it grows, how it multiplies, you stop working for it and start making it work for you. When I was young, I wanted wealth, just like everyone else. But I didn't understand how money worked. I thought hard work was enough. I worked long hours. I gave my best, but I stayed broke. Then my mentor told me something that changed everything. If you want to have more, you have to become more. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. That hit me. I realized I didn't need another job. I needed another mindset. I began studying books on finance, economics, human behavior. I attended seminars, asked questions, and listened to people who had already built wealth. And little by little, I started to see patterns, principles that govern success, rules that never changed. You see, money is simple once you understand it. It's not mysterious, but it is disciplined. The average person spends years learning how to earn a living, but almost no time learning how to manage or grow it. Isn't that strange? People study to become doctors, engineers, lawyers, but how many study to become financially free? That's why knowledge is the first and most powerful investment you can ever make. Because when you know how money works, you can make it work for you in any economy, in any country, in any circumstance. Start small. Read one book a month on money, investing, or personal finance. One book a month is 12 a year. That's 12 new mentors teaching you how to think, plan, and grow. Don't rush through them. Highlight, take notes, apply what you learn. Knowledge without application is like seeds left in the bag. It looks good but produces nothing. So, learn, then act. Test what you read. Try small experiments with saving, investing, or budgeting. The goal isn't just to know, it's to understand deeply. Remember this, money grows in the hands of the wise, but vanishes in the hands of the ignorant. If you want to build wealth that lasts, build understanding that lasts longer. Learn before you earn, because earning without learning is temporary. But when you learn first, every dollar you make becomes a tool, not a trap. So, start today. Pick a book, open your mind, and invest in yourself. The best investment you'll ever make is not in a stock or property, it's in your mind. Because once you expand your thinking, your wealth can never shrink again. Most people start with great excitement. They attend a seminar, hear a motivational speech, watch a video, and for a moment, they're on fire. They promise themselves, this time, I'll do it, I'll save, I'll invest, I'll start that business. But then life shows up. Bills, distractions, and routines. And that spark fades. You see, motivation is wonderful to get you started, but it's habits that keep you going. Winners understand that the secret isn't in hype, it's in habit. It's not about how inspired you are on Monday. It's about what you still do on Friday when no one is watching. When I was starting my journey toward success, I had all the enthusiasm in the world. But enthusiasm alone doesn't pay the bills. I used to get motivated, make big plans, and then fall right back into the same patterns. My mentor told me, don't rely on mood, rely on method. That was the shift. I realized that the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful wasn't intensity. It was consistency. It wasn't how loud they started. It was how long they stayed. Think about it like this. Brushing your teeth once with great enthusiasm won't keep them clean, but brushing them every day, even when you don't feel like it, that's what keeps them healthy. The same goes for your finances, your business, and your goals. The little boring things you do repeatedly build extraordinary results. The people who become wealthy don't make one big financial move. They make 100 small ones consistently over time. They automate their savings, track their progress, review their goals weekly. It's not exciting, but it's effective. So, instead of chasing motivation, build systems. Systems are stronger than moods. A system is a routine that doesn't rely on how you feel. It just happens because you've made it automatic. Set a weekly reminder to check your finances. Schedule time to review your expenses and track your progress. Make it as natural as brushing your teeth. Once you build that rhythm, your results will follow, no matter how you feel on any given day. When you build habits, you don't have to push yourself forever. The habit starts to pull you. That's the magic. Discipline at the beginning creates freedom later. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They save when they feel good, spend when they feel down, and wonder why nothing changes. Winners build systems that protect them from their moods. They understand that wealth is built on quiet, steady, repeated action. So, stop waiting for the next burst of motivation. The excitement will fade, but the habit will remain. Don't seek hype, seek habit. Because one good habit practiced for a year will do more for your wealth than 100 moments of inspiration ever could. Build the habit, and the habit will build your wealth. Time is the silent partner in every success story. It has no bias, no favorites, no emotions. It simply rewards those who respect it and punishes those who ignore it. The difference between those who build wealth and those who chase it often comes down to how they treat time. The wealthy understand that time is their greatest ally. The poor treat it like an endless resource. And by the time they realize it isn't, the opportunity is gone. When I was young, I used to think I had all the time in the world. I'd tell myself, one day, when I make more money, I'll start saving. When things settle down, I'll start investing. But one day never comes. It's just a comfortable illusion. The truth is, time doesn't wait for better conditions. It rewards those who begin, even if they begin small. That's why I often say, the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. Imagine you plant a small tree today. At first, it looks insignificant, a little stem in the dirt. But with time, it grows roots, spreads branches, and one day provides shade you could never have built overnight. Wealth works the same way. Every dollar you invest early begins to grow, and with time, it multiplies silently. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the financial world. It's when your money begins to earn more money, and then that new money earns even more. But the secret ingredient that makes compounding work is time. Most people underestimate how much time can do for them. They chase fast money, trends, hype, quick wins, but wealth that comes quickly usually disappears just as fast. Time builds wealth that lasts because it tests patience, discipline, and decision-making. If you save and invest a small amount consistently over years, time will multiply your results beyond anything you could create through effort alone. The earlier you start, the lighter your future burden becomes. That's why the biggest mistake people make isn't earning too little, it's waiting too long. Don't wait for the perfect income, the perfect plan, or the perfect moment. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Just start. Open that investment account, even if you only have $50. The amount doesn't matter, the habit does. Once you build a rhythm of saving and investing, time becomes your greatest ally. It will quietly work for you while you sleep, while you work, while you live. The poor see time as something to spend. The rich see time as something to invest. Every year you delay, you lose not just months, but the multiplier that time could have created. So, make time your partner. Plant early, nurture consistently, and let time do the heavy lifting. Because in the end, time doesn't just tell you what you did, it shows you who you became. There's a quiet truth about wealth that few talk about. Real wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. The people who are truly free financially aren't always the ones driving the newest cars or wearing the latest designer suits. In fact, the wealthiest individuals I've met often live simply, not because they can't afford extravagance, but because they understand that every dollar spent on image is a dollar that can't grow into freedom. When I was young, I used to admire those who looked successful. The fancy watches, the expensive cars, the big homes, they all seem to represent victory. But over time, I learned something humbling. Many of those people were working harder than ever just to maintain the image. They had become servants to their possessions. They weren't free, they were trapped in golden cages. And the sad part, they were admired for it. Society loves appearances, but appearances don't pay the bills. Assets do. The difference between the rich and the poor isn't just income, it's priorities. The poor often spend first and invest later, if anything is left. The rich, on the other hand, invest first and spend what remains. It's not because they are stingy or joyless, it's because they understand the power of delayed gratification. They know that every dollar you spend to impress someone else could have been a seed to grow your own future. You see, the goal isn't to look rich, it's to be rich. Looking rich is loud, temporary, and fragile. Being rich is quiet, stable, and powerful. A car loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. A designer watch doesn't compound in value, it decays. But an investment, even a small one, quietly multiplies in the background. It buys you something no brand ever can, freedom of choice. So, what's the real strategy? The next time your income rises, don't immediately upgrade your lifestyle. Don't let that raise, that bonus, or that business win disappear into things that don't grow. Instead, take half of that increase and direct it into something that works for you. An investment account, real estate, a business, or a skill that increases your earning potential. Let your lifestyle catch up slowly as your assets begin to take care of it naturally. I remember a man I once mentored who earned his first six-figure income. He was excited, and rightly so. But he made a promise to himself. He would live as though he still earned half that amount. Every raise, every bonus, he invested before he spent. A few years later, his assets began to pay his bills. That's when he told me, now I finally understand what freedom feels like. That's the game most never play. They chase symbols of wealth instead of substance. But wealth isn't about showing the world you made it. It's about reaching a point where you don't have to prove it. Spend less on image, more on assets, because one fades and the other lasts for generations. I often tell people that money is like an army. Every dollar you earn is a soldier that can either fight for your freedom or die on the battlefield of careless spending. The problem is, most people don't even know where their soldiers are. They send them out through bills, shopping, eating out, entertainment, and never check if they returned home. Then they wonder why they're broke. You can't win a war if you don't know where your troops are. The wealthy treat money differently. They respect it. They give every dollar a mission and a destination. They don't let it wander off without supervision. That's why I say, track every dollar like it's a soldier. If it doesn't have an assignment, it's already gone. You see, wealth is not built by chance. It's built by awareness. Awareness of where your money is, what it's doing, and how it can bring more of its kind back home. When I was broke, it wasn't because I didn't work hard. I worked plenty hard, but I didn't know where my money went. I didn't have a plan, a record, or a purpose for it. One day, my mentor asked me a simple question. Do you know how much you earned last year? I said, yes. Then he asked, do you know how much you kept? I said, no. He smiled and said, then you've already lost. That conversation changed everything. I started tracking my income, my spending, my habits, and what I discovered was shocking. It wasn't my low income that kept me poor. It was my blindness. When you start tracking your money, something magical happens. You begin to see patterns. You notice how often you spend out of habit rather than necessity. You realize how small leaks become big losses over time. And once you see clearly, you can make better decisions. It's like turning on the lights in a dark room. You finally see where to step. So, here's the strategy. Treat your personal finances like a business. Businesses survive because they measure everything: revenue, expenses, profit, and return on investment. Why should your life be any different? Create a simple system. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can use a spreadsheet, a notebook, or a budgeting app. But do it weekly. Track your income, your spending, your savings, and your investments. Look at where your soldiers are going and ask yourself, are they bringing more troops back? I once met a young man who made a decent salary but was always broke at month's end. I taught him this principle. He started tracking every expense, every coffee, every subscription, every dinner. Within 90 days, he saved more money than he ever had in a year, simply because he became aware. He didn't earn more, he just stopped losing unconsciously. Remember this, money likes clarity. When you know where it is, it multiplies. When you ignore it, it disappears. Track every dollar like it's a soldier. Because if you lead your money with discipline, one day it'll lead you to freedom. There's a universal law that most people overlook when it comes to wealth. It's the law of circulation. Money, like water, must flow to stay alive. If you try to hoard it, it becomes stagnant. But if you let it move, it grows, nourishes, and multiplies. Wealth that stops with you dies with you. It loses its energy, its power, its purpose. True abundance only exists when it moves through you to others, to causes, to creation. That's why I say, give, grow, and gratify. You see, giving isn't just about generosity, it's about alignment with abundance. The moment you give, you affirm that you have enough. That mindset changes everything. Most people say, when I get more, I'll give more. But that's not how it works. If you're not giving when you have little, you won't give when you have much. Giving is not about the amount, it's about the attitude. When I was broke, I still gave $1 when I could. That single act reminded me that I was not poor, I was a steward, and the more I gave, the more I grew. It's almost like life was saying, if you can be trusted with little, I'll trust you with more. Now, let's be clear. Giving doesn't mean recklessness. It means strategic contribution. Give where it creates value. Give where it inspires growth. That might mean donating to a cause that helps people rise. It might mean mentoring someone who's a few steps behind you. It might even mean funding your own education or the dreams of your children. Giving isn't always money. Sometimes it's time, wisdom, or encouragement. When you pour into others, you enrich yourself. The soil that gives nutrients to the tree also becomes fertile in the process. I remember a time when I met a young man who had just started earning. He asked, "Should I start giving now, even if I'm not yet wealthy?" I told him, "Absolutely. Give not because you have a lot, but because you understand what a lot means." Giving connects you to purpose. It keeps your heart open and your ambition grounded. Without contribution, success becomes hollow, a chase without meaning. Here's the strategy. Decide right now that a portion of your income, no matter how small, will circulate back into the world. I recommend 5%. If you earn $100, give $5. If you earn $1,000, give $50. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about impressing upon your mind that you live in abundance. That 5% won't make you poor. It will train your spirit to grow rich. And here's the paradox. When you give, you don't lose. You expand. You grow in gratitude, perspective, and purpose. You start seeing wealth not as accumulation, but as circulation. And that's when money starts working for you in ways you can't explain. Remember this, you cannot outgive the universe. The hand that gives is the hand that receives. Wealth that flows multiplies. Give a little, grow a lot, and gratify your soul in the process. Because when you give, you don't just create wealth, you create legacy. One of the greatest illusions of our time is the appearance of wealth. You see it everywhere. Fancy cars, designer clothes, the latest gadgets, and the picture-perfect vacations. But behind many of those images lies a hidden truth, a mountain of debt, sleepless nights, and financial insecurity disguised as success. Many people look rich, but they're one paycheck away from broke. Real wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. It's not built for display, it's built for freedom. The real test of wealth isn't how much you can spend, it's how long you can sustain your life without working. That's what true financial independence is about. Most people have mastered the art of consumption, But very few have learned the discipline of creation. The rich understand this difference. They don't spend money to look rich. They invest money to become rich. While others chase the spotlight, they quietly build assets in the shadows. And when the noise fades, their wealth remains. You have to train yourself to think differently. Before you buy something, pause and ask, will this make me money or cost me money? That one question can change your financial destiny. The poor and middle class buy liabilities and call them assets. Cars, clothes, gadgets, subscriptions. The wealthy buy things that produce value, real estate, businesses, stocks, intellectual property. It's not about deprivation. It's about redirection. You're not saying no to pleasure. You're saying yes to purpose. When I was younger, I used to admire people who had nice things. But over time, I realized the car parked in the driveway isn't what creates freedom. The investments that pay for the car do. I remember when I bought my first suit. It felt great, but it didn't change my financial position. However, the day I bought my first piece of property, that changed everything. That property produced income long after the thrill of the suit was gone. It taught me that appearances fade, but assets feed. There's also a psychological trap here. We often buy things to impress people who aren't even paying attention. The truth is, nobody's keeping score but you. So why waste your money trying to prove a lifestyle you haven't built yet? Instead, play the long game. Build quietly, stack steadily, and let results speak for themselves. When your assets start generating income, you'll realize something powerful. Freedom feels far better than attention ever could. So, the strategy is simple. Every time money comes in, divide it with discipline. Spend what you must, but invest what you can. Even small amounts, consistently invested, turn into empires over time. Buy one share of stock, one small piece of land, one piece of digital real estate. Let your money start working harder than you do. Because while appearance fades with time, assets compound with it. Here's what I've learned. The loudest people are often the least secure. The truly wealthy live quietly because their confidence doesn't come from display. It comes from ownership. So the next time you're tempted to buy something for show, pause and ask yourself, do I want to look rich today or be free tomorrow? The wise choose freedom every time. Most people think a budget is a restriction. It feels like something that limits your freedom. But in truth, a budget doesn't confine you. It frees you. It's not about cutting your wings. It's about giving your flight a direction. You can't manage what you don't measure, and you can't improve what you ignore. The very act of writing down where your money goes gives you power, because what you track, you can control, and what you control, you can grow. When I was younger, I earned money, but it slipped through my fingers faster than I could count it. I used to wonder, where did it all go? Then one day, a mentor told me something that changed my entire financial life. He said, don't start by trying to earn more. Start by learning where it's all going now. So, I sat down and tracked every dollar for 30 days. And what I found shocked me. It wasn't the big purchases that were keeping me broke. It was the small, careless ones. The coffee here, the lunch there, the subscriptions I forgot about. They were quietly robbing me of my financial future. A budget is like a mirror. It doesn't lie. It shows you the truth about your habits. But here's the beautiful part. Once you see where the leaks are, you can plug them. Once you know where your money flows, you can redirect it to where it grows. That's when everything changes. A budget isn't punishment, it's awareness. And awareness is the first step toward wealth. The wealthy understand this principle deeply. They know where every dollar goes because they treat money with respect Every dollar has an assignment. It's either working for them, waiting to be invested, or being used purposefully. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is idle. Poor people let money slip away because they don't give it direction. Rich people give money orders, and money obeys. You see, money behaves like a servant. If you don't give it a job, it will find a way to wander off. But when you take control, when you budget, it begins to serve your dreams. You stop living on accident and start living on purpose. So here's the practical step. For the next 30 days, track every single dollar that leaves your pocket. Not just the bills and big expenses, everything. At the end of the month, sit down and review it. You'll see patterns, habits that serve you, and habits that sabotage you. Then make 3 decisions. Cut 1 unnecessary expense. Reduce 1 indulgence. Redirect that money into something that builds your future. An investment, a savings plan, a business idea. It may sound small, but that simple discipline can change the entire course of your life. Because when you start managing your money intentionally, you send a message to the universe, you're ready for more. And life rewards those who can handle what they already have. Wealth doesn't begin with earning more. It begins with managing better. A budget isn't a barrier. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So take control, give your money direction, and let every dollar become a step toward your freedom. The marketplace doesn't reward time, it rewards value. Too many people trade hours for dollars, but the truth is, your income is a reflection of your personal development. If you want to earn more, you must first become more. The question is not, how can I make more money? But rather, how can I make myself worth more to the marketplace? Because the marketplace is honest, it pays for contribution, not complaints. When I started out, I worked hard. I showed up early, stayed late, and gave all my energy. But I still struggled. One day, my mentor told me something I never forgot. He said, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to get better, you have to get better. That hit me hard. I realized I was asking for more money without becoming more valuable. That day, I made a decision to stop working only on my job and start working on myself. Because when you grow, everything around you grows. Your income, your opportunities, your confidence. You see, the difference between earning $10 an hour and $100 an hour isn't luck, it's skill, mindset, and value. The person earning $100 an hour simply knows something, does something, or sees something others don't. They've developed themselves to the point where the world can't ignore their worth. The beauty is, you can do the same. Start with small, consistent investments in your growth. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to those who have already walked the path you want to walk. Learn skills that make you indispensable. Communication, leadership, negotiation, marketing, or investing. Don't just aim to make a living, aim to make a difference. Because the person who can solve bigger problems earns bigger rewards. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. Set a goal to learn one high-value skill this year. Maybe it's mastering a digital tool, starting a business, learning how to invest, or improving your ability to sell. Every new skill adds a new stream of opportunity. And remember, the more capable you become, the more valuable you are, not only to others, but to yourself. Think of yourself as an asset, not an expense. Every book you read, every course you take, every hour you spend improving your craft, those are deposits in your own wealth account. The return may not come overnight, but it always comes. Because when the marketplace recognizes your value, it rewards you accordingly. So here's the practical challenge. Pick one high-income skill Just one, and commit to mastering it this year. Study it, practice it, and apply it until it becomes part of you. Don't chase money, chase mastery, because money follows mastery like a shadow follows light. Your income will always match your level of personal growth. When you expand who you are, what you earn expands naturally. So don't wait for your circumstances to change. Change yourself first. The day you decide to grow beyond who you've been is the day your wealth journey truly begins. Money is a wonderful servant, but it's a terrible master. The tragedy is that most people never learn that difference. They wake up every day working for money, worrying about money, and chasing money. Yet money was never meant to be the boss. It was meant to serve. The moment you let money dictate your emotions, your decisions, or your peace of mind, you've surrendered your freedom. But when you learn to take control, when you tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went, that's the moment financial freedom truly begins. I remember a time early in my life when money controlled every decision I made. I worked long hours, saved nothing, and justified every purchase as necessary. But I realized something important. If I didn't have a plan for my money, it would always find its own way out. That's when I learned the power of discipline and automation. You see, the rich don't leave wealth to chance. They design systems that work quietly in the background. They pay themselves first, not last. They save and invest automatically, not emotionally. Here's how it works. Every dollar that enters your life must have an assignment. Some dollars are for living, some for giving, and some for growing. But none should wander aimlessly. When you automate your savings and investments, you remove emotion from the equation. You stop asking, "Can I afford to save this month?" and instead declare, "This is non-negotiable." That's the thinking of financial leadership, taking charge of your money instead of being at its mercy. Think about the irony. Most people plan their vacations better than their finances. They'll spend hours researching hotels, but won't spend 10 minutes deciding how their paycheck will be divided. Yet, the smallest bit of structure can transform your financial life. When you automatically move money into savings or investments the moment you get paid, you're sending a clear message. You are in charge. You're building wealth in the background while others are reacting in the moment. One of the greatest freedoms you can ever experience is to look at your finances and know your money is quietly working for you. It's growing while you sleep, compounding while you work, and multiplying while you live your life. That's the power of making money your servant. It doesn't require massive income. It requires mastery of discipline. So here's the challenge. Set up an automatic transfer right after payday. Don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left. Pay yourself first and let the system do the work. Whether it's $10, $100, or $1,000, the principle is the same. You are training your money to serve your vision, not your impulses. Remember, financial freedom isn't about how much you make. It's about how well you direct what you have. The day you take command of your money is the day money stops commanding you. That's when wealth stops being a dream and starts becoming your lifestyle. As we come to the close of this journey together, I want you to remember something powerful. Wealth is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. The secret is not hidden in markets, luck, or timing. It's hidden inside your daily disciplines, your mindset, and your philosophy. You can't have $1 million life with a 10-cent mindset. You have to grow into wealth before wealth grows into you. The truth is, success isn't built in a single day. It's built daily. Each choice, each habit, each thought plants a seed that compounds over time. The tragedy for many is that they underestimate small beginnings and overestimate big moments. But wealth doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from 1,000 small ones. Every time you save instead of spend, every time you read instead of scroll, every time you invest instead of consume, you're casting votes for your future freedom. Now you might say, it's hard to stay disciplined when life pulls you in every direction. I understand. It was hard for me too. There were seasons when I had more month than money, times when I felt like nothing was working. But discipline is born in those very seasons. When you keep showing up despite the struggle, life begins to notice. The marketplace begins to notice. Opportunity begins to notice. Because wealth always finds the disciplined. You see, success doesn't come to the most talented, it comes to the most consistent. Consistency turns ordinary people into extraordinary successes. You don't need to take giant leaps. You just need to keep taking small, steady steps in the right direction. Learn, save, invest, grow, then repeat. Over time, the results become inevitable. And here's something else. Don't build wealth just for comfort. Build it for freedom. Freedom to live on your terms. Freedom to give generously. Freedom to spend your days doing what matters most. That's the real prize. The house, the car, the possessions, they're just symbols. The true reward is the ability to choose. Money gives you choices, and choices give you power. But remember this, money alone won't make you happy. It will simply magnify who you already are. That's why you must build not only wealth, but also wisdom. Don't just accumulate, contribute. Don't just earn, serve. Don't just make a living, make a difference. Wealth that ends with you dies with you, but wealth that flows through you lives forever. So tonight, I want to challenge you to begin, not tomorrow, not next year, but today. Start with what you have, where you are, and do what you can. Begin with $10. Begin with 10 minutes. Begin with one decision. Because once you start, momentum will join you, discipline will strengthen you, and results will follow you. The future is not waiting for you, it's being built by you right now. Every day, you are either moving closer to freedom or drifting toward regret. Choose growth. Choose discipline. Choose to become the kind of person wealth is attracted to. Your life can change, not someday, but today, if you decide to change your philosophy. So take charge, make the plan, and start the climb. The view from the top is worth every step.